3, 2, 1.
Welcome once again to Home Care Connection, brought to you by the Rutland Area Visiting Nurse Association and Hospice. Flu season is coming fast, and today on Home Care Connection, we're going to tell you about the best ways to prevent the flu and the importance of flu vaccinations. Joining me today on the program are Jan Hansen, manager of RAVNAH's Community and Occupational Health Services.
Good morning, Harry.
Good morning. And Teresa Schmelzenbach, the agency's executive assistant, who in today's show will be talking about her role in flu clinics.
Good morning, Harry.
Hi, Teresa. So let's get right to it. Let's talk about how we can help people avoid getting the flu and why it's a good idea to be immunized.
Well, the CDC says the first approach to not getting the flu is to get a flu shot. And then secondly, there are some common sense things we can do so that we don't get the flu. Frequent hand washing, staying away from people who you know have the flu, getting enough rest, eating a healthy diet. All of those things will help to keep us healthy and hopefully will protect us from the flu.
And you know, it's funny because you talk about hand washing. Hand washing really is one of those, it seems almost like when you know how serious the flu is, hand washing is one of those things that it seems like, how could that possibly help? But it really is a gigantic
Yeah, it really does.
Preventative, is it not?
There are all kinds of viruses and bacteria on all kinds of surfaces. And so hand washing or using the bacterial or the antibacterial hand sanitizers are helpful.
Because it keeps our hands germ-free for the most part.
Yes, exactly.
Great. When is flu season in Vermont?
Flu season in Vermont typically is January, February, and March.
Okay.
And I happened to look back to see when we peaked for the flu. And actually, according to the CDC, 48% of the time the flu here peaks in February.
Really?
There
Wow.
have been times, however, there was a year when the flu actually peaked in October, and there was another year when it peaked in December. But for the majority of the time, our flu season peaks in February.
Wow. So when we talk about the flu, really, and we talk about flu season, you know, I think it's important for folks to understand maybe how serious the flu is as an illness. I mean, how serious is the flu as an illness?
Well, we are particularly concerned, and the people who suffer most greatly from the flu are the extremes of age, and that is very young children and the elderly. And the flu comes with its own set of signs and symptoms, which you know well, and please feel free to share.
I will.
However, the flu also can come with complications. And so people who already have chronic illnesses such as respiratory problems, cardiac disease, and diabetes, it may worsen those conditions and can also progress to pneumonia. And so a lot of the hospitalizations that we see from the flu are people who have developed pneumonia or a worsening of their pre-existing chronic condition.
Well, and you know, maybe perhaps on cue, but I think it is timely when you talk about the way the flu impacts people and why it's so serious. As you know, for the better part of the last 14 years, with the exception of last year, I have religiously gotten my flu shot every fall, and during that period of time, never contracted the flu. And then last year, for whatever reason, I can't even explain it, I did not get a flu shot. And again, unfortunately, as you know, I did contract the flu. And what really struck me was that the flu really does impact, it seems, like every system in your body. I was prepared, if you will, for the headache, for the coughing, maybe for the chest congestion, for the fever. I was having trouble sleeping. I was in pain everywhere. I couldn't believe. And then when I went to the doctor and they actually said, "You have the flu," I'm like, but all of these other things are bothering me, and he said to me, that's actually pretty normal.
Yeah. The flu can cause inflammation of your muscles, which accounts for some of the soreness that you have, and also some inflammation of the central nervous system, which explains some of your headache as well as funny dreams,
That was unbelievable.
and not sleeping.
I could not. I was waking up in the middle of the night and actually sort of like scared.
Yeah.
And when it turned out that that was a symptom of the flu, I said, how is this possible? And he said, because it affects your entire body. So naturally, if you have an underdeveloped immune system like a baby might, or as some of our older folks might, it's pretty clear that that could result in some fairly serious complications.
Yep, absolutely. And so you're going to be my first person to get the flu shot this year, aren't you, Harry?
Well, certainly at the VNA I will be. But really, then who really should get flu shots, other than me, of course, because clearly I need to get a flu shot.
Yeah. Flu shots are recommended for everyone 6 months and older.
Oh, okay.
That's everyone.
Okay, good.
Yep.
Well, I can attest to the fact that, I consider myself a fairly healthy individual, and boy, oh boy, doesn't matter how strong you are, if you get the flu, you're going to be hurting.
Yeah.
Okay, good. So anybody over 6 months of age, and when's the best time to get a flu shot?
The CDC says that we should get our flu shots as soon as the vaccine becomes available.
Oh, okay.
And that's a very good general statement.
Okay.
But bear in mind, there have been times when the vaccine has not become available until October or November. Or there have been shortages of vaccine. The last 2 years, the vaccine has been available in August.
Okay.
And so you see that there's a lot of flu shot activity at the end of the summer when nobody is thinking about having a flu shot.
Sure, that makes sense.
But the recommendation is to get it as soon as it becomes available.
Okay, and we already have scheduled, we've already had a few flu clinics, and we're going to have more moving forward, are we not?
Yeah, our first flu clinic was the third week in September, public clinic.
Yeah.
And our clinics are scheduled out, now scheduling into November.
That's great. And again, if the sort of flu season in Vermont is January, February, and March, then getting a flu shot September, October, November is certainly...
Certainly by December.
Yeah.
Although the CDC, again, does say that you can immunize throughout the flu season.
Okay, that's great. Yeah, well, again, I guess if you don't have it and you get it, the chances are that much better chances are that you won't get it.
Yeah.
So, okay, so we do know that there are many businesses and physicians that offer flu shots. Why bring the clinics out to, let me take a step back. When you talk about public clinics that RAVNAH provides, what we're really talking about is actually our clinics are sort of out in the communities that we serve throughout Rutland County and the northwestern portion of Bennington County.
Exactly.
Why do we bring those clinics out into the communities for the residents there?
Well, first of all, in response to the fact that there are many businesses that are offering flu shots. The pharmacies, the supermarkets, certainly the physicians' offices, many of them. And that's actually a very good thing.
Yeah.
Because it's important that people have options for convenient ways to become immunized. Every year, less than 50% of the population gets a flu shot.
Wow.
And the Healthy People Vermont, Healthy People 2020 goals are to immunize 85% of the population.
Wow.
And so there's more than enough people around that need flu shots.
Yeah.
We do what businesses can't do, and that is we can bring our services to the surrounding communities.
Sure.
And so we've had flu clinics, yes, we've had them in Rutland, but we've been in Wallingford already this year, in North Clarendon. We're going next week to Brandon and to Pittsford. We're going to be in West Rutland, in Castleton. We've been in Fairhaven already, in Benson, going to Ira, going to Rupert, going to Dorset. And we know that there's a certain segment of the population that we serve very well by bringing our clinics to the communities. We're sort of a safety net for people who find it difficult to travel into Rutland, to a pharmacy, to the supermarket, or sometimes even to see their doctor.
Absolutely.
And even when the attendance is relatively small at a clinic, what we realize is that it's important that we were there for the people who did get their flu shots.
Well, and again, I think, consistent with the mission of RAVNAH, eliminating, in many cases, the barriers to receiving quality health care at home or in my community. I mean, it's very consistent with the agency's mission.
We're trying to work on that aspect of access.
Sure, and that's a huge, I think, adds value to our community quality of life.
Yep.
So let's talk about the clinics then. I mean, because this is a show about flu shots. This is a show about flu season. Let's talk about the clinics. What in the communities do we offer, and who and how many people tend to attend the clinics?
The numbers vary.
Makes sense.
And we find that about half of the people that we serve in our public clinics are 65 and older.
Okay.
So we're making it easy for those people to have access to their flu shots. As far as how many people attend, depending on the location of the clinic, it can be anywhere from 200 to 25.
Yeah.
And regardless of the numbers, it's still important that we're there.
Absolutely. And again, I mean, not to be redundant, but it's like you just said a moment ago, I mean, access here is one of our central missions. So even if one person showed up, that would have been one person that might likely not have gotten a flu shot for that.
And I know that that's the case in some of the places we've been.
Absolutely. And again, I think that it does not diminish the value of the clinic. So, okay, so we've talked about the clinics, and we've talked about how and who should get flu shots. What about the vaccine itself? The vaccine, as I understand it, and I'll let you answer the question. Obviously, we're protecting people, immunizing people against the flu. But is there a particular type of flu, or is it particular makeup? What is the flu vaccine?
The flu vaccine every year contains protection against whatever the two common type A viruses are and a type B virus.
Okay.
And so last year the flu vaccine was protecting for H1N1 and another type A virus, which is H3N2.
Okay.
And then a type B virus. The vaccine this year is exactly the same as last year.
Okay, and for, just so H1N1 is swine flu, is that fair?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
So is H1N1, is it still considered a threat this year?
It is a causative virus of the flu.
Okay. Oh, okay.
Okay.
So immunizing against it would, so the answer to the question sort of would be yes.
I wouldn't call it a threat.
Right, right.
But it is, the H1N1 is a causative virus.
Sure. And therefore well worth being immunized against.
Absolutely.
Okay. So RAVNAH also offers, excuse me, something that's called a high-dose vaccine. What is it, and who should get high-dose vaccines?
Last year, one of the major manufacturers of vaccine put on the market a vaccine that they considered to be high-dose.
Okay.
And it contains 4 times the amount of antigen, which is the little irritation to your immune system that causes you to produce antibodies.
Got it.
Than the regular vaccine.
Okay.
And it is designed for people 65 and older, because what we do know is that as we age, our immune systems don't function as effectively.
Sure.
And so the thinking was, if you produced more antibodies as a result of the high-dose vaccine, then you would be better protected against the flu.
That makes sense.
The CDC is studying it, and so they have not come out and said, yes, you should have this under these conditions, or no, you shouldn't. What the guidance from the CDC is that individuals who think they might want the high-dose vaccine should have that conversation with their physician.
And just for the education of our audience, CDC is the Centers for Disease Control, which is a federal agency, that oversees a whole bunch of stuff
Yes, it
related
does.
to
Yeah.
viruses and viral infections and all sorts of stuff
And
like
all
that.
kinds of health-related
Yes.
issues.
Okay,
Yeah.
great. And so once people have a flu shot, like let's just say for the sake of argument, I know I'm already first on the list to get
Oh,
my
yes,
flu
you are.
shot. But once I have my flu shot, how long am I protected for?
Again, the CDC says that the flu shot protects throughout the flu season.
Okay.
Okay.
So is there like a window? Is it 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, 6 months?
Depending on who you read and what you read,
Yeah.
the duration of immunity runs somewhere between 4 and 8 months.
Oh, okay, good. So as long as I'm sort of aware, at least
Yeah.
sort of about when
Yeah.
the typical flu season is in my geographic location, that would be a good barometer for me
Yeah.
to figure out when.
Yeah. And what we do know is that over time, the immunity to the immunity from the vaccine tends to decline.
Okay.
Which is why, even though this year's vaccine is the same as last year's,
Yeah.
and the viruses are the same,
Yeah.
you need another flu shot.
Sure. And again, I will never question again the
No,
importance of flu shots.
I know where your office is.
Okay, good. So you often hear people say, and I'll tell you, I hear this all the time, that, they say that like the flu can give you the flu. I was fine. I got my flu shot, and then I had the flu.
You cannot get the flu from the flu shot. The viruses that are in the vaccine have been killed. And so the body will recognize the vaccine, the antigens,
Yes.
as foreign and will develop antibodies against it. But you cannot get the flu from the flu shot. It was, in your particular case, strictly circumstantial.
Oh yeah, no, yeah. Well, and again, and I didn't get a flu shot, so.
Yeah.
But I mean, again, I think there's no question about it. If in fact, and I think a lot of people who get colds where they have fever think they have the flu. But again, I'm quite comfortable saying after having the flu last year that I never had the flu before last year because I never felt that bad ever before.
Yes, and you're not ever going to feel that way again.
But I do think, though, that I mean, I've tried to say that, but it is. I think it's just one of those things. It's one of those sort of myths that is out there that is hard to debunk.
Yeah.
But you can't get the flu.
You
from
cannot
the flu
get
shot.
the flu from the flu shot.
Okay.
I was about to say,
Yeah.
you can get a sore arm at the injection site,
Mm-hmm.
some redness and some swelling at the injection site, but you cannot get the flu.
Okay. Well, good. You heard it here first. So, in addition to the seasonal flu vaccine, we also offer pneumonia vaccines. Is that
Yes,
true
we
at the
do.
flu clinics?
Yes, we do at our public clinics.
Great.
People have tended to think that the pneumonia vaccine is only for people 65 and older. But younger people who may have chronic conditions, and again, we're looking at things like diabetes, cardiovascular disease, and respiratory issues. Even young people with asthma,
Yep.
people who smoke, are also good candidates for the pneumonia vaccine.
Great.
And so if someone has had a pneumonia shot before the age of 65, what they need to do when they turn 65 is have a second shot.
Oh, okay.
And then they are essentially should be protected lifelong.
So then, theoretically, if I'm under 65 and I get a pneumonia shot, then I'm really okay up until the point that I am 65. And then
You should be.
Okay, good.
Yep.
Well, what we're going to do now is we're going to actually work some video magic for you folks at home. Jan is going to prepare, we have a special treat for our viewers this month. We are going to actually give a flu shot live on the air to a very nice gentleman who works here at PEG TV, Tom Leipold, who normally helps us film the show. Today he will be coming on set in just a few minutes to receive a flu shot on the air live for our audience. We're going to chat with Teresa now and talk about her role in creating the flu clinics, and Jan's going to get ready to give that shot, and then we will actually be delivering a flu shot on the air, so I'm very excited about that. So Teresa, you are not a nurse, but you do play an important role for RAVNAH when it comes to the public clinics. What is your role?
Primarily facilitating the clinic from the volunteer standpoint. Everybody has their assigned tasks, but specifically for me, I process the paperwork, but I can also be found greeting at the door, calling numbers for patients to come to be registered, registering them, or calling them to the nurses for their vaccinations.
Nice. So you part of your role in the public clinics is actually coordinating the clinic itself and getting the volunteers.
Creating the flow of the clinic, yes.
Nice. And you had mentioned volunteers. So how do we use community volunteers in the flu clinics?
We have a consistent group of approximately 11 volunteers that have worked with RAVNAH closely for some of them up in the 11-year and on range.
Wow.
So we've been very blessed to have them stick with us and come back year after year.
Yeah.
We have added a few new people along the way, but primarily we've had a bulk that have just stuck with us year after year.
That's great.
It is.
And they do receive some kind of training, or?
They do. Obviously, for the ones that are seasoned, we update them when we start our season and let them know of anything new or what is new. Otherwise, we begin and start all over again, if you will, and break them back into the routine. For new people that just walk in the door, they'll sit with someone of experience, and primarily it will be either me or Helen Conway, who sits in as well as an employee. And they'll stay with us until they're comfortable. A lot of it is repetition as far as the paperwork is concerned.
Sure.
Nothing that we do is rocket science, but it's an important part to get right. So we stick with them until they're comfortable.
That's great.
And then in most cases we'll turn them loose, but we'll stop doing what we're doing so we can sit with them longer until they really do have comfortability.
Well, and really, that's I mean, in essence, basically, we're sort of, it's like an on-the-spot mentoring program.
It is.
We model the behaviors,
Yes.
where the new volunteers will observe, and then we sort of flip roles, and then we're watching as the volunteers carry out those same duties.
Yes.
And once we're good to go, they're good to go.
It's important for them to understand the purpose of what they're doing and what's involved in it, but even more to that, it's easier to learn by following.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think that's great. So when it comes to volunteers, do we need more volunteers? How do volunteers get in touch with us if they want to?
We're like any other nonprofit agency. We always need volunteers. We're very willing, very accepting.
Yeah.
You know, the tasks that we handle for our volunteers are very simple. It could be as simple as greeting at the door or handing out numbers or paperwork. Or for some people who are more comfortable with administrative tasks, they will actually register people. But we do definitely always need volunteers, and they can always call our office and ask for Jan.
Great. Good. And one of the really, we haven't talked about it yet, but one of the important roles that you play at the clinics is registering and people who walk in. And so the majority of the people who come to the clinics are Medicare covered patients, meaning that they're over age 65.
Correct.
So does Medicare actually cover the cost of the vaccination?
Medicare does cover the cost of the vaccination, provided it carries Part B of Medicare.
Good.
And Part B is the, in simple terms, the outpatient part of Medicare.
Great.
If it doesn't, Medicare will not cover it.
And what about others who are not on Medicare, like somebody perhaps with individual insurance or somebody on Medicaid, or even, frankly, somebody with no insurance at all?
We do accept Green Mountain Care, which is the Medicare, or Medicaid, I'm sorry.
Sure.
But we're not set up to accept all insurances, so we would ask for payment from anyone else who came to our clinic, and they would be able to pay by cash, check, or charge.
Okay.
But it is also RAVNAH's philosophy to never turn away anyone for an inability to pay.
Absolutely. Great. Well, for people who have not been to one of our clinics but are considering attending, what can they expect?
Professionalism, respect, a friendly and hopefully a familiar face within at least the tenure we have, as well as being within the communities that our volunteers are with, and to be a trusted nurse administering a vaccine. Yeah,
that's true. That's very true. And that's an important distinction, I think, the fact that the folks who provide the flu shots are trained nurses and do this really, quite regularly. We are about to transition, so there's no simple way to do it, but there's just one other question I had for you before you trade places with Tom was how can our viewers find out about where and when the clinics actually are?
They can call our flu hotline. They can go to our website. They can check the local newspapers or call our office. For sure, we get them out there as best we can.
Great.
And a lot of them are consistent that we've always done. They can even contact the facilities themselves.
Excellent.
And ask when it will be for the year.
Great, thank you. Well, thanks for joining us today. We're going to say goodbye to you now, and we're going to invite Tom on set. And we are going to, through the magic of modern television, bring you a live flu shot on the air. It's very exciting.
It is.
Welcome, Tom.
Thanks.
Thanks for joining us today.
Welcome, Tom. Thank you so much.
Pleasure.
Now, Tom, you've already completed the consent form that is giving me permission in writing to actually give you this flu shot.
Right.
And you answered 4 questions that lets me know that you don't have any allergies to the components of the shot or have any problems
Correct.
that would get in the way of being able to give you the shot. So we have such brave people that we work with.
Well, I might be able to go home early because of this today.
No. Sore arm. The shot's going to go up into this nice triangular muscle that you have up here. And clean it off with alcohol. Wipe the alcohol away so that it doesn't irritate when the needle goes in. This is a very small needle.
It's good to know.
By comparison. And it just goes in that little muscle just like that. And the click you hear is the needle retracting.
It's that quick.
And you're done.
I didn't even feel it.
Thank you so much.
That is pretty amazing. I mean, that's not bad and quick and
just like that.
Yeah.
Yep. And I'm going to give you a little Band-Aid over that spot. That's going to be your badge of courage.
And it is important to, I think it really is, and I think this illustrates the advantage when a trained, skilled nurse is providing a shot. I mean, this is not, this is something that our nurses are, trained in every year and really are quite adept at.
Well, I don't like needles just as much as the next guy. And you can see I didn't even flinch. I didn't even flinch. So.
No, it was quite excellent. So yeah,
Thank
good.
you.
So now we are, since you were nice enough to join us, and since anyway, under normal circumstances, we would ask someone who gets a flu shot to stay seated for a few minutes after the flu shot, right?
We actually ask people to wait about 15 minutes after they've had the shot,
Okay.
just in the event that they have some kind of reaction. And we travel not only with our vaccine to the clinics, but also with emergency kits as well, just in case somebody should respond in an adverse way.
Right, and that would be more likely because they just did not realize that they were allergic to something.
Or something, about something in the vaccine.
Right.
Yeah.
So we're going to ask you to just stay with us as we wrap up the show, and actually you'll be here for a few minutes after we leave.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it.
Thanks. Thank you.
Thank you, Tom. You're very brave.
And actually, I'd like to thank Tom, Jan, and Teresa for joining us today on the show. I think we've been able to give you some important information about staying healthy during the flu season and also the importance of getting a flu shot during the flu season. For a full list of flu clinics, you can call our flu hotline at area code 802-770-1574 or visit our website at www.ravnah, that would be RAVNAH, at ravnah.org. And of course, if you would like to talk to our nurses about any RAVNAH services, please feel free to call us at area code 802-775-0568. For Home Care Connection, I'm Harry Snyder. Thank you for joining us. We'll see you next time.